Hello, we saved you a seat. Welcome to Train Station at 8, a place to gather with friends and talk about music for a while, particularly video game music. This is episode 9, and tonight we're going to be discussing The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and how those soundtracks are different, how they're the same, and just generally what we think about them. Joining me for this is my brother, Steven. Hello, Steven.
Dawn of the first day, 72 hours remain.
Okay, that's very nice. And
that's my dramatic intro that is alluding to the fact that
we're talking about Majora's Mask.
We were talking about Majora's Mask and just had to restart our recording because our internet connection was not up to par.
Are we making it canon that we had to redo the recording?
That's totally canon.
Until we go back in time and erase it, yes. Also joining us is Cameron Nutter from fellow Whales Are Whales podcast, Disembodied Voices. Hello, Cameron.
Hi, how is it going?
It's going great.
Thank you for coming here with us, chum.
I'm not a chum. Don't call me that.
Okay.
No, he is not a chum ever since you deleted your recording, Stephen.
Well, chum is also kind of a demeaning word, isn't it?
No, chum is like friend.
It means fish bait.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, so it's demeaning. Fine. I was trying to snow Cameron in on this, Stephen. I was trying to obscure the truth from him. But there you go.
What the heck is Cameron doing with this cross-promotional weirdness? Why is he on our video game podcast?
Because no one else would come.
That is so true.
No, because Cameron's great and he loves Majora's Mask.
Yeah, in fact, he was the one who proposed this idea.
Yes, I was.
Right? Oh, good. I got that back right.
Yeah.
I thought it was my idea. Wait, what?
Cameron, why did you propose this idea?
Why did I? Because Majora's Mask music is some of the best of the entirety of the Zelda music archive, and Zelda has a lot of really good music, so that's saying something.
That's a good point.
That's true.
And I like it. I like it next to like Wind Waker. It's like probably my favorite. So that's why I like talking about it.
Okay, awesome. And I am your host, Brian. I realized I never introduced myself, which is kind of weird. And with that, we can probably just go ahead and start getting out of the questions. So we have an 8-question format for our different topics. And question number 1 is the same as it is for every episode, which is, what have you been listening to lately? This can be anything. Video game music, ska.
What? Wait. Video? Is there anything else other than video game music? Because I'm not clear on this concept.
I listen to ska. You guys ever heard of Real Big Fish?
No, actually.
They're really, really dorky, good ska music, and it's really fun.
I could sure use a good dorky ska band.
Let's see. There's a song called Suckers where it goes, "This one's for all the suckers who still believe in love." And there's like, the playing in the background. It's totally ska. It's great.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I like it. I've been listening to some music I would never normally listen to, actually, speaking of ska. Because of Elite Beat Agents. So, been listening to some Madonna.
I'm sorry.
Some Ashley Simpson.
Well, half the internet knows that you've been listening to Ashley Simpson.
Oh my gosh, yes. Because of my tweet that gained more traction than it should have.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really, really fun game. It's one of those games that forces you to appreciate even music that you don't like, because you get to know every tiny little,
note?
Every note, every shift in, tempo.
Right.
How the bridges connect and why they connect, and it's almost like a way to study a single song while
Would that game play well with Connect?
Oh, nope. Nope. That's incorrect.
So you're saying that the Fantasia game is going to fail? Is that what you're saying?
Not at all. I'm not saying the Fantasia game is going to fail. I'm just saying it's not going to be as good as Elite Beat Agents.
Okay. So you've been listening to Elite Beat Agents. What else?
Well, like I talked to you guys about before, I listened to the Greatest Video Game Music Collection number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I am about 2/3 of the way through that. Did you listen to most of it, all of it, some of it?
I think like 2/3, maybe.
Okay, that's interesting. Did you listen to, the One Winged Angel?
I believe so. It was just, you can't beat Video Games Live for that.
Yeah, I just can't go back. If Tommy Tallarico was not using an electric guitar during that, it just has no true meaning to me.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a surprisingly phenomenal soundtrack. The Far Horizon Skyrim arrangement just got me completely emotional.
Yep.
Yes.
Only problem with that song is it's not as good as Bastion music. Just kidding.
Oh, geez. Now you're rousing up the old angers from a past life.
Yeah, I'm just trying to goad Cameron into screaming about something, because that's normally why we have him on.
That's what he does best, yes.
There we go! Mission complete!
Good job.
Great job, Cameron.
And then it's just been the new Lindsey Sterling album, which is even better than the last Lindsey Sterling album.
Is it... Moving on. That's great, by the way, Stephen. I look forward to listening to that. Cameron, you've been listening to stuff. I heard you playing stuff in the background of the call, so I know you've been listening to something.
Yeah, like a smattering of Pandora music, which includes a lot of heavy rock, since that's kind of what I'm into. Shinedown album, Amaryllis is pretty good. It's their newest one. And then that Poets of the Fall song that you guys let me listen to, Cradled in Love.
Yeah, you got it right this time.
There's so much.
If you got it wrong, we're going to delete the recording and start over.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
about it. So it's a good thing you got it right. All right, cool. And I've been listening to what have I been listening to?
Wait, I have a question for Cameron before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you think your ratio of normal music in quotes versus video game music? Like, which one do you like? 20, 80, 50, 50?
80-20 towards regular music, quote unquote.
I think I'm like 70-30 towards video games.
Okay. Well, the thing is, I just recently got big into video game music, so I'd say like, well, here, I can do quick math right now. I will highlight all of my regular music, and then I will highlight my video game soundtrack folder. I have 24 gigs of regular music and 6.6 gigs of video game music, so that right there says a lot. That I have
for me,
a lot of extra regular music.
For me, in terms of like iTunes library size, it's probably 95% video game music.
Wow.
In terms of what I listen to, it's probably like 70% regular music and 30 video game music, because video game music soundtracks aren't always that listenable for me, or especially on repeat listens.
And I have a lot of problems
that's an interesting thing.
I have a lot of problems with listening to the same albums over and over again. Like, I find it very hard to broaden my horizons with music, so a lot of the stuff I listen to is stuff I've listened to back since like high school. And I have a ton of music, but I listen to the same 6 or 7 albums over and over and over again.
I definitely have that tendency with a couple bands. Also, recently, I've just had such a breadth of music on Spotify to listen to, and that's mostly non-video game music. So yeah, I really enjoy video game music and certain bits of it quite a bit. I love listening to it in games. Of course, I love discovering new ones and trying new things. But in terms of just like listenability day to day, I do still like a lot of music that is designed just to be music instead of designed as an accompaniment to a game. There's something different there.
I guess actually I should clarify. I would say I'm 70-30 in the video game scene.
Yeah.
A lot of the music I listen to is remixed or inspired by video games.
Right.
Like Big Giant Circles or OC Remix, that sort of thing. But what I tend to do is I will find a non-video game band or artist that I become obsessed with and listen to that album or that person over and over again.
Right.
While with video games and that whole scene, you know, like Coda's work and stuff, he did we used one of his songs for the Disembodied Voices theme song, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
I have a huge range of that stuff.
Right.
That I cycle through on a constant basis, and then I just listen to Switchfoot and Poets of the Fall again. So
I mean, it's similar. Like, any single song from Poets of the Fall is going to be so far above any video game music, because I just have so much video game music that I don't tend to, like, find... Like, there are a couple video game albums that I can listen to repeatedly like I do
I have the exact same.
normal music, or however you want to say it.
Like, literally,
like Sonic Generations.
Yeah, like, literally I can turn the album on and then repeat it as soon as I'm finished with it the first time, for me. A lot of albums.
Right, Bastion is like that for you, I think?
Yeah, Bastion. Yep, absolutely. I can listen to that thing all day long.
Let me think other video game songs like that for me. I mean, Sonic Generations, I know we've had this topic in a previous episode, actually.
Yeah.
Some Big Giant Circle stuff, like Imposter Nostalgia, I will do that with.
Yep, that's one of those, like, the second it ends.
Weirdly enough, a lot of Ace Combat stuff for me. I really enjoy the
never got
sound
that
and vibe
into Ace
of it.
Combat, but we had the Ace Combat versus Soul Calibur debate.
I want to do an episode on Ace Combat music sometime.
Yeah, well, speaking of a game compared to another game.
Right, we can move on. Alright, so talking about that, question number 2, which is, what is the most striking difference between the two soundtracks for you? Those soundtracks being Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time.
Now, I'm not going to lie. We started to cover this question in the deleted files. So we're probably going to be very quick to come to a conclusion.
The tone. Next question.
I'll just run over a couple points we had before. I think the tone is what was really the defining
good one, Brian. That was a good thing you just thought up.
difference that we decided on previously.
Mm-hmm.
I had pointed out, and I still think that it's an impressive job by Koji Kondo, that they're so different that people like myself and Cameron thought it was a different composer for both games. But it's actually Koji Kondo for both of them. Except for a few battle themes done by Toru Minigishi. What were you saying, Stephen?
And that's having Koji Kondo's original Ocarina of Time songs actually laid in there back to back.
Next to them.
With the new ones, yeah.
Exactly. And so that was very impressive. And I made the metaphor that if Ocarina of Time was in a major scale, Majora's Mask was in minor. And that was really the difference of the two kind of
the tone difference is that it now feels ominous and unsettling and familiar but strange.
Just a little bit off, that one note off that makes it all dark instead of open and light and exploration.
Like you look at the combat music and it's so similar to Ocarina of Time, but it kind of does that. And it's like, whoa, what was that? That makes a chill go up my spine.
Actually, I don't agree
pretty much.
that they're very similar at all.
I think that they have a very similar, like, tempo and pace and style to them, in my personal opinion.
But their melody is completely different.
Their melody is different.
I'm not saying the melody is exactly the same, but to me, it's the same sort of, it comes in and it's creeping in and it has the same instruments and everything. It's just, they remind me of
I don't know if I agree still, because, like, Majora's Mask has, like, marimbas, or whatever they're called. Marimbas? Is that a word?
Let's pretend
maracas?
it is.
No, not maracas.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't quite correct you. I think that's right. Maramba?
I feel that's wrong, but I don't.
Does anyone care enough to look this up?
It's a marimba, yeah. That's that actual instrument. I know it's right here. I'm gonna Google it. No, not Google. Skype it again. It's that thing. And like Majora's Mask theme actually has like specifically that with the and I don't know. I just feel like they're completely different. But okay.
I agree with you. I think they both have like a start with a little drum beat and then kind of overlay slight melodies on top of it. But from the get-go, Majora's is just a little bit weird with the with what it's playing, marimba or whatever you say in the background. Already you're getting a different feel from it, but they're evoking similar ominous.
They at the very least serve the same function because the combat and engine is exactly the same for both games.
Right.
So maybe that's just what's getting me. But anyway.
All right, we can move on then already to question number 3.
Wow.
Which is, I know, we're just breezing through this. How did the Ocarina songs change between the two games, and which Ocarina song is your favorite?
They became sucky. I'll just go ahead and say that again. They became...
Once again, Cameron is being rude, but concise.
Well, it's the truth, unfortunately. The majority of Ocarina songs... What?
I was going to say, when you first say that, I want to get up in arms. Because I want to say, no, man, the song of healing and
that's the only song you
calling song of healing.
Exactly.
Again, the giant song is really good, but
but I think I just blocked all of those other dinky little Ocarina songs from my mind.
Yeah, I didn't recognize half of them when I was listening for this episode.
They're just, it's so weird. Ocarina of Time's, like, triumph was to make these unforgettable, like, 5-second melodies.
I want you to play in this spot. I want you to play the Song of Storms.
Yes, for example, the Song of Storms. Which... Yes, very good, Cameron. Thank you. I don't even have to play it anymore. And there were just a bunch of those. You could just, I
can't think of a single one. As a matter of fact, I don't think there was a single song in Ocarina of Time that was bad. Like the Zelda's Lullaby was kind of boring. But even it was a full featured song. It was great.
Well, Zelda's Lullaby was amazing.
That's a classic of all classics.
Well, it's kind of boring to me.
Well, it is a
the
lullaby.
cradled in love of Zelda songs.
Well, no one knows what I'm talking about because that got deleted. Anyways.
We mentioned it very briefly.
Yeah. Anyways, but there's not a single Ocarina of Time song. That's bad for me anyways.
Are we saying Ocarina song or like song of the entire game?
Ocarina song. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Song that was played on the instrument known as the Ocarina.
And things like the
in Ocarina of Time.
Fire or whatever it's called, and the Shadow Temple theme are just they're not even just good video game music. They're amazing music. And you get crap from Majora's Mask. It's like bum 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 ba 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 ba. And it's like, what were they even? A 4-year-old. It's like the basement theme from Resident Evil Zero.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I sort of
that'd be so hard to play in an Ocarina just because the notes there's so many.
I wonder if it's just because Koji Kondo thought up all of the good ones.
Well, that's the thing. Koji Kondo's been on record saying it is extremely difficult to come up, and it's very impressive. He is working all of these songs on the same 5 notes.
Yeah.
And that's all he has to work with.
Guys, 5 note. Every song in the world is made on 4 notes, 4 chords. So they could have figured it out.
Every melody in the world is not made on 4 notes.
I was being a little hyperbole, but the majority of music is written on 4 notes, 4 chords. And 4 chords, and chords can be broken down into one bass note. So every song can be played on, almost every song can be played on 4 notes. Therefore, they could have figured out better melodies and some of them in there.
I'm not using it necessarily as an excuse, but I am saying that's an impressive element of Ocarina songs in general. And that he created such memorable melodies like an Ocarina of Time using such simple means.
Yeah.
And I feel like that the Ocarina of Time, that was the name of the game after all, was shifted to Majora's Mask. It was now about this mask and about this character and about these story-focused themes. And I feel like the Ocarina was just kind of, I don't know, leftovers. And the focus was so heavily shifted that
on masks. I honestly don't think the Ocarina should have done anything in the game except changed the time.
Yeah, I don't
the
think
Temple of Time songs different, but you didn't need all of the temple songs and the Epona's song and everything coming back. Like, it felt rehashed.
I actually disagree with half your point. I feel like for things like putting the Goron to sleep and things like waking up the dead in that stuff was unnecessary and that could have been accomplished otherwise. However, I think the time travel aspect that is added to the game works really, really well because
that was exactly my point. I said it should keep the time travel and not any of the other stuff.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I thought it was amazing how it's like the end of Ocarina of Time, Zelda's like, and she used time travel to send the world back to normal. Right. And then you get to use that same power in Majora's Mask. It's so cool. I love it.
That was clever and fit into the story. All the other stuff felt like, well, we have the Ocarina, we have to use it like we did last time.
But I guess, is that necessarily a bad thing though? It's like, if you set it up so you have this time traveling device, why wouldn't you just use it to put a Goron to sleep or to wake the dead? Like, why wouldn't you? What would you do instead? See, so that's
just keep it for time travel and don't.
Well, from a design
perspective, the masks.
From a design perspective, it's like, okay, we have an obstacle. We don't really know. Okay, this is Goron we have to put to sleep. What do? We could think of a completely different original idea, or we could just use the Ocarina again. From a design perspective, it makes sense to use the Ocarina.
To me, from a design perspective, you would probably use the masks for more of that.
Interestingly enough, the masks in that game are very like almost like a side point unless you specifically go for them.
There are a few important ones.
The Goron mask and the Zora mask.
Mostly, guys.
That's true.
You can get through the entire game with like 5 masks, and there's 40 of them. There's 40 masks, and you can get through the whole game with 5. So that's pretty cool. But this is nothing to do with music.
Yeah, we're getting off track again.
We are getting it. Well, I mean, we can't, every time we merge into how the games are different, we can't say that's getting horribly off track.
Yeah, that's especially...
I mean, the point here is directly tied to music because these uninspired melodies are a question of, like, were they even necessary to be in the game?
Yeah, and I think that... I do.
But I think they just messed up the melodies, personally.
Okay. I see no reason the Ocarina needed to be used. I mean, even the stuff you're talking about, like the Goron, then don't have an asleep Goron, just let you go in the temple. They obviously created those problems so you would use the Ocarina.
You think
or
so?
whatever your instrument is. Yeah, I absolutely don't think
That's
they said,
not
well,
how
now we
game
need a
design
Goron.
works. Like, what if, I mean, there could be a sleeping Goron in a different Zelda game where you don't have an ocarina, and you would have found a different way to wake him up. Like, that has nothing to do with, I think that they were just used to having that tool in the pocket. It's like, it just made sense since they were using that same engine. It was a direct sequel.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that makes me so excited about talking about this game.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, Brian, Link learned that, or maybe Cameron, I don't remember,
said that,
one of you gibbering buffoons said that, he learned the song from Zelda and brought it into this next game. And that's what's so cool about this game, because you feel like, even though Link is now a kid again, he has all that adult experience somewhere in his brain. He went through that whole epic adventure in Ocarina of Time, from what he can remember at least. And even though he's so much shorter now, you're used to him
he can do things
as
like
an
shoot
adult.
a bow and
He knows,
hook shot.
when he jumps off ledges, he does all these crazy flips and stuff. Like, he has this strange maturity to him. You almost feel like he can now take on the world, and this new journey is so much scarier and more important in some ways than his last one. And I don't know, it has such a weird tone of growing up. And is this all a dream, or is he really dead the whole time? And it's fascinating.
It's a very dark, almost scary game in general.
Yeah.
Like
no, it is scary.
Did you guys do the side mission with the two
with Anju,
the married couple?
Yeah.
That is so depressing. Oh my gosh, that is really depressing. Like, if you don't save the world, they get married and they're super happy, and then they die because the moon crushes them.
They're just like, well, we're going to sit here and die together.
Yeah,
it's like you evacuate the whole town.
I'm like,
I'm playing my Ocarina.
It's so sad. I know. The whole game is, and this is, and the music helps so much in this. Like, I love the third day Clocktown music, because it's like, bum ba da 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 da. Da 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 da.
Right.
Everyone's gonna die.
And it's,
they did two awesome things with that Clocktown, which is making it faster and then adding those background tracks, where it got the ominous death coming, and then it also got kind of the panic and tension going. So.
yeah, panic.
The progression
panic
of the Clocktown song is one of the
I
best parts of that
I
game.
might go play Majora's Mask after this podcast, because I really want to play it. I really hope they release 3DS version where they fix the dungeons, because the dungeons were the single worst part about that game.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Like, I could do that game without dungeons and be super happy.
Alright, so question number 4. What do you think reusing music from Ocarina of Time in Majora's Mask was a good effect, or would more original material have been better?
This is one I think we differ opinions on a lot. Not so much whether it's better or worse, because obviously it's better from reusing some Ocarina of Time music, right? As we're all in agreement with that.
That they shouldn't have reused it?
No. We're all in agreement that they did use it, and it's better for reusing some music.
I don't think that's an obvious statement at all, or an obvious position to hold. I think that it feels a little cheap, actually.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Like they were cutting corners.
Well, see, first of all,
I think it's situational, but go ahead, Cameron.
I don't think we agree on how much was reused. Like,
all right, well, I mean, we can probably nail this down a little more. Like, what are things people remember being reused or have seen in the soundtrack?
A little bit from the battle theme, a little bit, obviously the Song of Time.
The house music,
the
Zora's
house
Domain.
music is reused, the minigame music is reused, the shop music is reused, the farm music is reused.
All that stuff is very minor music. Like that's,
oh, absolutely, but it is reused.
It is.
The getting items and stuff is reused, getting heart pieces reused. That's reused in most Zelda games. But
I mean, we're talking the same sound file played again. Like, no game does that unless it's a direct even direct sequels oftentimes shy away from it.
So, most of the stuff they reused it for is stuff that is similar in function, but not specific to the story. Like, we are having a shop again. We are having a farm again.
Look, it's these people you remember. It's the Zoras again.
It is, that may have been a different remix.
I don't think Zora's Domain is the same. I don't think it is.
I feel it's different.
My mistake then. I could have
I need to listen to them back to back. It feels more steel drum and...
it has steel drums. That's what the thing plays in the band is steel drum. I disagree that it feels lazy. There's a lot of reusing stuff, but it's in very minor songs. Like all the major songs, the important songs are all brand new music. And the ones that are remade, it makes it, again, it kind of lends to that theory of this is an alternate Hyrule where all the people are the same. Everything looks somewhat similar, but it's twisted. So like when you're walking through town and you hear the bum 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 ba-da-dum ba-dum of the creepy dances, and you walk into the shop and it goes bum ba-da-da-dum bum ba-dum bum bum bum. You're like, this is so weird. It's like surreal.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That is exactly, I agree with you 100% there, Cameron, because it's placing the strange and the alien directly next to something that is so familiar. Like, warm and fuzzy to a lot of people.
The house theme, which has been around, did Link to the Past have that? Feels like
no, that was Ocarina.
What's the house theme? Someone hum the house theme. I don't remember what that is.
Dun, 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 dun,
oh, you're right. So, no, wait a sec. That's in the game?
Where
does it play?
That's reused. In houses? Like in the inn, I think.
You're right. I think you're right, yep.
It's in almost every Zelda game since.
I never thought it was lazy, personally. I thought it's more strategic.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Sometimes, having to sing minigame music feels a little bit lazy at that point because minigames don't really feel like they should be evoking familiarity. They feel like they're just like, well, we have a minigame song, so let's use that. But I do have a certain fondness for like taking old music and trying to use them in different places or new ways. Like back when I used RPG Maker and made games with it, I would love to take actually Ocarina soundtracks and put them into my game, and I don't know why. I have a certain nostalgia or love for doing that with existing music, and so few games do it that it almost doesn't feel lazy. It feels just interesting to me.
Yeah.
Well, before I was kind of playing an extra strong double espresso devil's advocate because Cameron was like, come on, obviously
it's not a question,
thing.
is what he's saying.
Yeah, I think it is a question.
But the thing is, I thought we were all in agreement.
Yeah, but
I think mostly are.
We probably mostly are, but I think that it was due to maybe not laziness, but necessity. Because for whatever reason, they were putting themselves in the very dangerous position of churning out another Zelda game in about a year's time. And so they reused, I feel like it must be dozens of character models. Huge, deep pools of assets pulled out. Just the exact same stuff, maybe slightly repurposed. And the music was the same way. They're like, no, we don't have time or the budget or whatever.
Let me put it this way. What if you're thinking of this backwards? What if they said, we have all this stuff already, let's base a game around having all this same stuff. Instead of
that's exactly what I'm getting to, where I feel like they were in this position, and instead of doing this horrible little rehash and just making an expansion pack or
I don't think they need to be in position. I think it was intentional. Maybe what if they said, let's say they don't have a time frame. Let's just pretend they said, hey, what if we take the same assets from Ocarina of Time and created a game around that? And it just so happened to take them only a year and a half to do it.
That is an interesting point, and something that I honestly don't know. Maybe it's on record somewhere. Is like Nintendo's not in a habit of forcing themselves to make games in a series they don't want to make games in. Like, they take their time with Zelda games.
Yeah, that's very true.
So maybe it wasn't a fact of being desperate. Maybe they had this very specific plan from the get-go.
Yeah, yet again, Majora's Mask is home to many fascinating theories.
Right.
That could be. It's just that is such an extremely weird, interesting, and brave idea to reuse assets like a year after a game came out. Like, the same songs, the same character models, like the workers walking around. Like, it seems so much like a product of necessity. but maybe it wasn't. I guess we'll never really
obviously,
know.
I mean,
it
one
doesn't
idea-
feel like that though, because the outcome of the game is completely original and amazing. I mean the concept is original.
But like,
we can forever guess at what the actual origins were. I mean, one thing that I think the idea of this is our one chance because we're getting the GameCube in 2001. If we're ever going to reuse Ocarina's engine or assets, we have to do it now. Because obviously you couldn't just port those to the GameCube and save that much trouble. So that could have been some of the desire to do it. But in any case, what's really amazing about Majora's Mask and the soundtrack and everything around it is that so many games create all new assets and just feel like what the last game was anyway. Look at Call of Duty, look at Assassin's Creed. They'll do all new assets and put all this work into all this stuff, and it just feels like the same game. Majora's Mask actively changed the tone of the soundtrack, actively changed the point of the game to where it was almost unrecognizable from Ocarina of Time, even though that repetition was there.
That's an extremely good point, and amazingly impressive and weird.
Wow, my point was amazingly impressive. Yes, thank you.
Well, that's slightly more complimentary than I intended, but let's go with it.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and go with another question as well, because I think we answered that one quite well.
Yeah.
Yay.
And this is question number 5, possibly the most important question of all of them. Is Deku Nuts Palace the best song ever?
No.
Okay, why not?
All right, Cameron, play devil's advocate. I thought it was obvious that the answer was yes.
Versions ever.
Oh.
Cameron is right. Check out Zurio's remix of Deku Nuts Palace.
But don't check out Steven's remix because it's not very good.
Acapella, Deku Nuts Palace. Played on Steven's vocal
Hey,
cords.
an acapella would actually be good. I shouldn't do it, but it would be good.
I wonder if that, what's that guy? Smooth McGroove or whatever. I wonder if he...
Oh, yeah. Man, that's a great suggestion.
I'm almost positive he has, actually. Let me look it up.
But speaking of Deku Nuts Palace, I think that really brings into sharp focus one of the strange and unexpected paths that Majora's Mask took, which is taking this very, I don't know my cultural music enough, but it had almost this, sometimes it feels Middle Eastern, sometimes it feels Asian, but it has this, at least to our American sensibilities, exotic feel to it. Mm-hmm. You know, the Majora's Mask having this very, angular and strange and otherworldly, look to it. I think the music reflects that really well, with a lot of those, esoteric, dissonant, soundtracks that kind of come out of left field.
Yeah, that's a good point. It didn't stick to the same style they'd established with Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I think one of the points I made in our Lost file was that Ocarina of Time is very epic. It reminds me of Skyrim. It's like this big booming world where you do whatever you want, and it's super, and the music reflects that. The music is very booming and open and And then Majora's Mask comes in, and it's personal, it's intimate, and it's different, and it's weird, and there's nothing, every song has a different spin, and a different take, and a different weirdness to it, and that's really cool, and I think that's the biggest difference between the two soundtracks, is just, Majora's Mask, I'm trying to think of a good analogy, like, Ocarina of Time, it's grounded. Majora's Mask is not. It's wild, it's incredibly crazy, it's got such weird, different feels to it, so.
No, I agree with you. Like, they just do weird stuff with the music. Like, even the, Goron race track took the weird little, I don't know how to explain the sound, but that weird little, like, sound in the background of the Goron village.
Oh, that kind of
thing. Yeah. That weird thing. And, like, would just play it in a melody where it was, like, stopping itself in the middle of it and repeating it multiple times. And it would just, like, do weird stuff with the music. It almost sounded like something a modder would do or some, like, they wouldn't actually release in a full official Zelda game. It's just too out of left field.
Yep.
And they would do that consistently. So, yeah. All right. That was a quick question. And obviously we all agree completely on the answer. Question number 6 then. What do you think about the use of motifs in the two games and how do they differ?
Well, that's very similar to what we were just talking about.
Yeah. Somewhat.
I mean, I think right off the top of my head, Ocarina of Time is a traditional fantasy universe.
They rely a lot on choruses and stuff and chanting.
Right. You've got the organ from the evil Ganondorf's castle. You have the...
Steven, I expect you, whenever I sing, I expect you to put the real song in there instead of my singing. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Then you have the whimsical wooded Lost Woods. Cameron, that's your cue.
Oh, shoot. I
promise I wouldn't do dubstep.
Wow, that was... You broke it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But Majora's Mask, like I was saying, went crazy town with it. And that stuff doesn't sound like traditional fantasy. And like I said, I don't know what culture it's drawing from, if any, but it feels weird and exotic.
The culture of Crazy Town.
Yeah, the culture of Crazy Town, exactly.
And like I mentioned, it uses a lot of marimbas, specifically as like a main theme in Majora's Mask. Like, okay, Steven, you can play the actual song over top of this, but I'm gonna play it in the background, because I don't think you guys understand what I'm saying when I say marimba. So I'm gonna play the,
you mean like electric guitar, right?
No! Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay.
Listen, the Termina field. Oh, I can't. Oh yeah, it's right there. Okay, ready?
Oh yeah, I heard it. I don't like Termina Field very much.
Really?
But, yeah, we discussed this on another podcast episode actually, but I feel it would have been a lot more effective if it had been a play on the Ocarina Field song and not the Zelda theme song.
I thought the Ocarina theme song was boring though, personally.
Oh my gosh, now we're gonna have to have a bigger disagreement, but we won't here. I love the Ocarina Field song.
It's great. It's a fine song, but it feels generic. And it's the same problem I have with, like, I bring back to Sky, what? Okay, computer, that was great. It comes back to the concept of Skyrim's soundtrack, which I feel is just, oh look, it's another stupid, heavily orchestrated, music. Epic.
That is so not true about either of those soundtracks.
But let me just say this. Cameron, get off this podcast.
Yep, that's about what I was getting at as well.
Okay, listen. When you listen to the oh my gosh, the Hyrule, I just completely forgot how to word.
Fields.
Yes, that soundtrack.
Hyrule Pastures.
It has no soul when you compare it to the Termina Field soundtrack.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain soul per se, because no one knows how to explain soul. Everyone just claims music has soul and doesn't know how to back that claim up. But it's just like any old game could have the Hyrule Field soundtrack. What Termina Field is specifically a Majora's Mask song.
Okay, so you're saying Hyrule Fields. See, I think where I disagree with you completely is the caliber of Hyrule Fields as a song is matched by pretty much no other Field song, in my opinion. However, I don't think that was the point you were getting at, nor the point necessarily stated. You were saying it could fit a lot of different games.
What I'm saying is it's generic. It's a fine song, whatever, I don't much care for it. However, it could fit, you could throw it into freaking a track in Mario Kart and it would work fine.
No, I disagree with that, but pretty much any JRPG overworld could play it.
Termina Field is like, it's so weird, it's so unique, and this is the same argument we always have with Bastion versus Skyrim, is that I feel Skyrim could fit into any old epic, dumb movie soundtrack, and Bastion is specifically tailor-made to the game that it's in. And it's the same concept. Termina Fields, I believe, was handcrafted, molded, just specifically to fit right into Majora's Mask.
Except that the entire melody is borrowed from something else.
Alright, well, I would put this forward. I think they both fit their games. I have issues with Majora's Mask. I don't think that was the right tune to use, the right melody.
Right.
But, stylistically, they both fit their respective games very, very well. Ocarina of Time just happens to be a more generic fantasy Zelda world, while Majora's Mask is a weirdo land from Crazy Town, or whatever we decided.
Yeah, that's also the thing, is like, I would disagree in the Skyrim case as well, where Skyrim is that music is so different from, like, Oblivion's music in a lot of ways, because it's matching the culture and climate of the world of Skyrim. But the world of Skyrim and the world of Ocarina of Time are not as distinct as the world of Morrowind, for example, or the world of Majora's Mask. But I don't know if those are knocks against the soundtracks necessarily.
Majora's Mask is totally the Morrowind of Zelda.
Yeah, I was going to make the comparison too, but I didn't want Cameron to start yelling at us.
at all.
I think it's a fantastic
You people
It's
are-
flawless.
You guys are
I know
you guys are-
it's a really good example, but I wasn't going to bring it up because Cameron's rather stubborn
And I
about
brought it up
Morrowind.
because Cameron is on this podcast.
I was trying
Alright.
to be very professional about this conversation, but you guys are stupid.
Cameron,
Now-
the
oh,
only
the
reason
gloves are
you're
off.
debating this is A, you've barely played any Morrowind, and B, you hate it, so you don't want to compare it to a game you like. But nevertheless, the comparison is fairly apt, just in the way that both the Majora's Mask and Morrowind have a very specific... You couldn't take those worlds and port them into pretty much any other game world. They are their own. Ocarina of Time and Skyrim much less so. But I don't know if it's necessarily a problem that the soundtracks are more generic if the games are more generic, because they're matching...
Well,
what
it may not be
the
a problem
game's
in
world
terms
is.
of the scope of the game, but in terms of the scope of the song itself, it means that listening to it is not really enjoyable because I could just assume be listening to any other generic epic.
I very
song.
much disagree with you. I don't need every song I listen to be different. If it's quality for what it's doing, I'm absolutely cool with it using a commonly used
I
motif
just
or a
like-
commonly used type of song.
I guess I just like things to be different. I mean, I would not ever go listen to the Hyrule Fields theme for pleasure because I've heard it.
Yeah,
like a
I'm
zillion
directly
times.
the opposite because I love the Hyrule Field song and find it an awesome song to listen to for pleasure, and I just don't like the sound of the Majora's Mask Field song. Partially because it just feels so weird and off to have the Zelda theme in there. I don't know why. Because it never played an Ocarina of Time, it's like, why is Majora's Mask bringing this?
Well,
It
that's
feels-
a
it
really
does-
dumb argument. I think actually, it's like that's
Why?
because it has to be an Ocarina of Time if it can be Majora's
no, man,
Mask.
it's just...
I mean,
If you're using an old song, it feels weird to draw from something Ocarina
A Link
didn't.
to the Past had a ton of A Link Between Worlds had a ton of A Link Between. Oh my God, A Link Between Worlds had a ton of Link to the Past music, but that didn't happen in Twilight Princess. I don't get that logic makes no sense to me.
But we've
The
been
logic is
spending all
this.
this
We've
time-
talked about this entire episode how Majora's Mask is a direct twist of the world of Ocarina of Time, so bringing music in from Ocarina of Time makes sense. However, for the main field, suddenly drawing from an old Zelda game that was never even in Ocarina of Time feels inconsistent with what the rest of the game is trying to
But
portray.
Ocarina of Time pulls from A Link to the Past, and A Link to the Past pulls from all the first two Zelda games. So they all pull.
Yeah,
from
but
each
as a
other's-
direct analog of a field song, it would make a lot more sense to use Ocarina of Time's field song instead of just playing the Zelda theme.
90% of the other songs don't do that though. So why does that one have to?
But 90% of the other songs don't draw from the original Zelda theme again.
But that's what I'm saying. That doesn't. This is.
I guess we're not going to agree on this, but
No.
my logic has complete internal consistency. You just, I guess, don't agree with it, but that's fine.
If there's one thing Cameron doesn't have, it's internal logical consistency. So,
Wait a sec,
I'm
that's
sorry. We're
not-
supposed to be.
Oh my gosh, Steven, professionalism. Come on.
You're right. Okay. So, Brian, what are other possible motifs that these two games use, and how do they differ?
Well, Steven, that's deja vu. All right, different motifs.
Yeah, like,
I think Ocarina of Time. Now, this isn't entirely true and consistent, but in a lot of ways, I feel the memorable parts of Ocarina of Time and the memorable themes were very character focused and locational focused. Like Zelda's theme would come up a lot repeatedly. The motifs of different areas would be a very large part of it. Like Zora's domain would have its own motif, and the fields would have theirs, and so on. I feel in Majora's Mask the motifs are more about kind of ideas and overarching plot themes, like the giants and the Song of Healing, and the mask, which is less of a character theme for Majora's Mask, because Majora's Mask isn't that much of a character, and more of an idea and presence. I think the motifs are a lot more broad in that sense in Majora's
Now,
Mask.
Ocarina of Time definitely had some of this. I would say, especially with like the songs of the goddesses and the sages. That theme
that's true.
came up over and over again.
That's a good point.
But you're right. Maybe partially because, like Cameron was saying, Ocarina of Time is about exploring the world. But Majora's Mask, Majora's Mask feels a lot more about. I don't know how to put it. It's claustrophobic. You're like mostly just in one place, and it's about the events and the emotions going on in that place.
Yeah, I think that the mask theme itself is one of the most powerful motifs in that game.
And to think that the whole game starts with that creepy 3D model of the Majora's Mask, and then the theme play.
That
ting,
okay,
ting, ting,
that's
ting,
a
ting,
really
ting, ting.
cool. That's a really cool point to make. Ocarina of Time had that very beautiful with the piano music, the camera pan through Hyrule Fields. It was pretty and beautiful. Majora's Mask is like press start to play.
And you're immediately just crushed with that presence.
Yeah, and that's all it is. And there's the mask guy going, and then you start, and it's like, what is going on? And immediately, I think that sets a really cool tone for the game. I love that intro. My gosh.
I agree. I mean, I think very few games ever, before or ever since, have had that much disturbing presence as Majora's Mask. Like, I feel like most horror games would struggle to be that, have that much presence. And that's like their entire point of existence. I don't know how Majora's Mask got that so right.
Majora's Mask did it, I feel, by a lot of the stuff we've talked about. They twisted something familiar, which of course is what scares you. If you're having a nightmare, it's probably because someone or something familiar starts acting weird, and you know in the back of your mind it's weird. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, the music, like we've been talking about, reinforces that by giving all these, unharmonious, is that how you say it? Unharmonious? Disharmonious? Not...
Discordant, yeah.
Discordant. There you go. All this discordant sound to it.
I think it was, go ahead.
To the third and final pillar of unnervingness in this game is that the symbol of Majora's Mask and the threat of the whole game is a giant moon with a face on it literally looming above you and getting closer every day. So, of course you're going to feel scared and oppressed.
I think a lot of games have a problem with I lost my train of thought. Shoot. With, hang on, I'll get it. Give me a second.
He's going to get it.
I can go ahead and say
with
something.
Okay, I got it. With having a sense of, like, oh my gosh, why can't I get this out? Having a sense of just, stupid, something being off. And Stephen, it was the point you made, how everything was just a little bit twisted. I think it was Stephen King who said this, and I'm going to paraphrase him because I'm not sure exactly his quote, but to scare somebody, you break into their house and you attempt to murder them. But to frighten somebody, you break into their house and you take every one of their items and turn them 10 degrees to the left. And so when they come into their house, everything is exactly the same, except something is off. And that's frightening.
Yeah.
And I think if horror games could follow that's what Majora's Mask does. But the thing is, Majora's Mask has something to lean back on of Ocarina of Time. To move forward.
That is such an excellent point, Cameron, because I feel in so many horror games, I come into it and it's like, okay, I'm in a horror game atmosphere. What does that mean? It means A, scary sounds. B, it means dead bodies and blood everywhere. C, it means dark corridors. Like, I just enter a different mindset and expect to see everything and my expectations are met. And it's not even based on reality anymore. It's based on a whole different world, which is horror world. And it just stops being scary. As compared to Ocarina of Time, which takes a familiar world and Majora's Mask, which takes a familiar world and twists it a little bit.
And it even does that within itself. Like, it presents to you, here's Clock Town. And then the next day, and
the music
is anyone
does that
hearing
better
those
than
strings
anything.
in the background? Yep. Am I crazy? Or why do I feel more tense?
Yeah, the music is what totally embodies that twisting a little bit. I mean, I've complained about Termina Fields because of what it uses, but that dumb disagreement aside, it twists a Zelda theme and just makes it off, even though it's a familiar melody. And it's so much more effective than most horror games, which just say, how are you scary? Well, let's see, you need corpses, you need dark colors.
Guts and blood and jump scares.
You need jump scares. And it's always the same environment and the same enemies and the same ideas.
And then when you get past the turning things a little weird, Majora's Mask actually has legitimately scary stuff, like face-to-face scary stuff. The final boss fights with Majora, they're scary, dude. So, like, first off, you start, and it doesn't have anything to do with things being a little off. It has everything to do with the scenario being awful. Like, you start off in this giant field with a tree in the middle, and you're immediately unnerved because you're like, wow, this is nothing like the game at all. Which, by the way, whoever designed that level is a god. That level was so amazing. But then you start fighting the different forms of Majora, and it gets creepier and creepier and creepier.
And the music, again, is perfect.
And yeah, like the music when you fight the one that jumps around, the beep, beep,
Like a dancing thing. What's amazing about it is it starts with the same, like, he goes into a new stage, so it plays the same theme to open it, like it did the first time, and you expect the same song to start again, and then it plays just this weird, and he starts dancing around you, and it's completely
horrifying.
takes you off guard.
It's absolutely
and it makes
horrifying.
it a little different from last time. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the first time that happened, I was crossed between horrified and just bursting out laughing at how weird everything suddenly became.
It was very Japanese.
Yeah, I loved it. It was so weird and so great, and I felt like I had fallen asleep while actually playing the game and was having a dream about it, because that's how different the game would make things.
And I think it's very interesting that we keep going back and forth trying to figure out how intentional was this? Were they making the best out of a bad situation, or was this the plan all along? But somehow they were able to get everyone on the team. The gameplay was totally different. It's nothing. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And then the music had shifted tones 100% as well. Everything. It seems like everyone on the team somehow was able to unite on this very strange, difficult to explain goal.
I'm actually not convinced at all that it was a rushed, unplanned event. I think everything in that game was planned out pretty darn closely.
But it's a question of, was it planned out because they wanted to make it, or did they make the best out of someone at Nintendo saying, let's get into the Zelda game in the N64, and then they came up with that plan?
I don't think Nintendo's ever said in their entire life, we need to do something immediately, let's think of a really crazy idea. I think Nintendo works...
They may have not phrased it that way, but I do feel they have obligations such as, let's do another new Super Mario Bros. Game because it's another console. I think they do. Every company will have obligations like that, and we can only guess at what Majora's Mask was.
It's a little different from where we have only 2 years left in the N64's life cycle, let's get a game out.
It's different, but not substantially enough for us to know.
Oh yeah, I'm not claiming to know anything, but the game totally feels planned out in every sense of the word.
I agree with you on
and
that.
not rushed, and I don't know, that's just me.
Mm-hmm. I can get that. The reused assets are always a question of, like, because it saves them so much time, like, you still wonder if their idea was, think of how much time and money we could save by using these assets, let's think of a game around doing that, if that was how the idea came about. But, in any case, something
Miyamoto had recently decided to eat the same thing for breakfast twice in a row, and came to the team with a new idea.
Something about the music, though, that I'm kind of sad about is sometimes there are games like this, in a series, where, because there are other more popular games in the same series, people kind of just overlook the soundtrack. Like, when do you hear a Video Games Live or a London Philharmonic or a Best of Video Game take Majora's Mask music into consideration?
Never.
It's always Ocarina, occasionally Wind Waker, sometimes Twilight Princess, because there's the most recent, Skyward Sword.
Well, Majora's Mask was highly passed over.
I know.
Highly
So the music,
over.
like, especially, it's just a shame how little it's been brought to the forefront.
As much as I love Majora's Mask, boy, is it a weird, flawed game. And the music is not always palatable or even good. Like,
no, the music is different, though.
Actually,
right,
I would challenge you, besides the Ocarina songs, to find a not very good Majora's Mask song.
I don't love the beach, I forget what it's called exactly.
Great Bay?
Great Bay.
Hang on, I actually can't remember what it's called. Steven,
it's not very melodic. I think that it isn't, okay, I'll insert it here. But it isn't fun to listen to, but it does get this, like, oh, what's wrong with this beach?
I mean, it gets that across, yeah.
I like how you said that. That was funny.
It kind of gets that across.
Okay, let me rephrase my question. I challenge you to find a song in Majora's Mask that doesn't work very well with this environment.
The field song. I still think it's lame.
Let's not
you're lame. So.
Beat a dead horse named Epona.
The thing is, I haven't played the game in forever, so I'm having a hard time to...
No, I agree
with you. I did. I played the game about a year and a half ago, so I have a little of this, a little more fresh in my mind. Not a lot.
Are all the dungeon themes good? I don't remember those well.
No, they weren't all great.
Well, why don't you let the person who's played it recently...
I was asking Cameron, Steven.
Oh, sorry.
I can't remember the names of all of them, but basically the quote-unquote Spirit Temple, has a great soundtrack. The Water Temple's okay.
Right.
The Forest-ish Temple is fine, and then the Snowfall Temple is blech, pretty blech.
So there you go.
But
there are some flaws in the soundtrack.
But that's the weird thing is that the dungeon soundtracks are just okay. The dungeons kind of suck as well. So
yeah,
I have
so they do reflect their environment.
I have a theory that they made this game entirely based around masks. And then somebody...
Wow, Cameron, how did you come to this conclusion?
Would you let me
from
finish,
the game?
brain? And somebody comes into Nintendo's office, kicks the doors open and goes, guys, Zelda games have dungeons. And they're like, what's your point? And they're like, we have to put dungeons in this game. And they're like, but we have 40 side missions for these masks. And they're like, but Zelda has dungeons. We only have 4 months to finish making the game. But Zelda has dungeons! And they put dungeons in the game because they had to.
Guys, I just thought up a new theory.
What?
What if this was never originally intended to be a Zelda game? They had the idea of a town that went throughout 3 days and the time traveling thing, and they knew that you were gonna
your idea
masks.
is proved wrong because I actually do have quotes from Enuma saying, "How are we going to follow up Ocarina of Time? I know, let's make something radically different."
Yeah, you're completely wrong.
Man, that would make so much sense.
We can actually conclusively disprove one of our wild theories on this episode, and that is the one.
Well, that's probably
But
good.
my
maybe
theory
he
actually
had that
does
idea
make more
from
sense.
something else, though.
Yeah, and it would have made perfect
think-
sense because then they're like, "But how are we going to make this game? I know." We have a bunch of assets from this Zelda game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's build it with that. Like, that would have made sense.
Yeah. I think the music also kind of reflects that because, the dungeon themes are the things you can't remember. And I know they aren't always the most melodic songs in Zelda, but Ocarina has some pretty memorable dungeon themes.
Actually,
and Majora's Mask just doesn't.
For me, the only really memorable dungeon themes in Ocarina were, of course, the Forest Temple, and like the Spirit Temple, and the Shadow Temple. But for me, the rest of them, like the Fire Temple, boring. And the
Which version of the Fire Temple did you have?
The version everyone had. No one had the original version of the Fire Temple.
Did they not? I thought we did.
You did not. That was a really rare copy. It only got produced for like half a year.
Okay.
I mean, I guess you could have, but I doubt it.
I think we have that version.
Guys,
I think so.
I don't know.
It. I think we had that version.
If you do, it's worth money, guys. Like a lot of money.
Wait, we already sold our copy of Majora's Mask. I think we'd be pretty sad if we also sold our copy
of Ocarina. Well, you apparently don't care about games, so you should just go ahead and sell it anyways. Get the money.
Yeah, obviously. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of other memorable Ocarina dungeons.
Yeah, there's not a lot. I mean, of course the Forest Temple is amazing, and it's one of the greatest songs in the game, personally. But, like, do you even remember the Water Temple theme very well at all? It's like...
Water
splish splash. I can't remember it at all.
I think that Majora's Mask, like, some of those themes, like Clock Town, like the actual theme of Majora's Mask, etc., stick with me eternally, like Nightmare stick with me. But kind of the rudimentary songs, like, they're good, but like the Milk Bar, Pirate's Fortress...
Well, Pirate's Fortress, I would disagree.
I love that song, but it doesn't hold the candle to Gerudo Ballad. It's like, it doesn't have those sorts of hits like Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time had so much.
Like, everything in
every
Ocarina,
song in Ocarina of Time was a classic in its own right.
Like, you look at the Goron Mountain song, was it different than Ocarina of Time's?
Yeah.
No, wait, yeah?
Yeah.
And if it was not as good as Goron Village or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Goron's Village was one of the worst songs in Ocarina, personally.
I really like it.
I mean, it's fun, but it's super dorky, and I don't really feel like it fits super well in the game.
Oh, I disagree.
Yeah.
That's actually a very bad impression of it, too.
Oh, yeah, and does anyone remember Dodongo's Caverns theme, like, at all?
I remember the basic atmosphere of it, and I remember it being really good and fitting.
But the point is, Majora's Mask has Deku Nuts Palace.
That is a good point. So are there any other notes you'd want to make about the motifs or themes, especially in Ocarina? We've talked a lot about Majora's Mask.
I
love that pause. Do you actually want to say something, or are you just...
It seems too dumb to say, like, it's so obvious.
What?
But Ocarina of Time kind of had a motif of having an ocarina. And
well, it's not a dumb
did
point.
A very, very good job of making those songs part of the world. Like, this is the actual lullaby that they play here at the
Well, and the
Royal
title
Palace.
screen, how it brought that ocarina in after, that itself was kind of a motif.
Yeah,
You don't
it's like,
think-
it had this consistency.
You don't think very often about this, but the main, almost like the main game mechanic of Ocarina of Time was the ocarina. Like, you just kind of think about it as a quick tool to get around and do little side missions, but in reality, besides like the sword, it's your number one tool you use all the
Yeah.
time.
It is the item we go back to for every dungeon. If you're going
Yeah,
to
like
do it to
here's
get
an
in.
example for it. Like, the sword is a set button on your controller. If you played like I did, the ocarina never left my left C button, ever. It was always my left C button, because I just needed it all the time. So it was like, right C was a bomb, down C was a arrow, and then left C was my ocarina all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was super helpful, and I think we touched about that
Makes sense.
earlier a little bit.
Yeah, I think that was an interesting, and Ocarina of Time is also very focused on specific themes for specific places and characters, like Zelda's a lullaby, Ganon's theme. These are some of the most memorable character themes and place themes in video games.
Or let's think about,
There
like,
almost aren't better examples of it.
how your horse Epona, responded to this song that, what's her name?
Oh, Milan.
Yeah.
Sing. Yep.
She was actually singing in the game, and she teaches the song to you, and you can play it on your ocarina, and then you play that later in time, like 7 years later, and Epona
Yeah.
remembers it. It's like, that's a gameplay mechanic and a story element and a musical motif. It's really, really smart.
And it carries over into Majora's Mask as well, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is a good point. Like, Ocarina of Time has that edge musically over Majora's Mask, where they put a lot more thought into how the music affected the world and vice versa. Majora's Mask was more concerned with masks, and its story and the music kind of supplemented that, but Ocarina of Time just had such a volume of music and how it affected its world. It felt like
Yeah, there
I felt
was...
like Majora's Mask did a very few specific amazing things with music, but Ocarina
Yeah.
of Time had a breadth of music since it was the whole focus of the game.
Yep. I agree.
Alright, moving on then to question number 7 and our last question for this topic. What are the core emotional themes in each soundtrack, and do they match their respective stories?
Absolutely, they both match their respective stories. Regardless of what their theme is, they both match very well, in my opinion.
And Stephen, what would you say the main themes are in Ocarina of Time?
Zelda's Lullaby for sure.
Well, I mean emotional themes.
Zelda's Lullaby for sure.
Okay. I mean not songs, but emotional themes.
So not like actual theme songs.
No, emotional themes, like love.
Emotions.
Or
What are the
exploration.
emotions?
Yeah, the actual
I think
emotions.
I think I'm still gonna stick to Zelda's Lullaby at this time.
Oh my god.
Because I really think that's the core
That
song
is an
and
emotion?
emotion of the game.
Yeah.
Which is,
Hope?
I think it is, in a weird way, it's like nostalgia.
I thought that as well.
It's like this song from Zelda's childhood that Link learns, and it becomes an important part of his life. And he recently learned how to play the ocarina from his childhood friend. Then he goes into the future where everything is horrible, but he still has the melody of Hyrule, of the princess, of the times as a child. This do. It's so soft, it's so, nostalgic.
Well, it's from Link to the Past.
Yeah, it's even from an old game, for crying out loud. So, I think that's like the core. And at the very end, when they're in the white void, and it's like, Link, you saved the world and all, and, the song like plays again, and it's like, you can't not get a little choked up with that.
That's true. It is. Its kind of theme is one of nostalgia, lost childhood, and all of that. The passage of time. Its theme is really the passage of time.
There you go. And nostalgia is our perspective on the passage of time.
Right.
And you even look, the game starts out in the Lost Woods, or at least
time never goes anywhere.
Right, not Lost Woods per se, Kokiri Village.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Time never moves on, and the whole point of the game is then growing up and looking back.
And Link thought he would be a kid forever, but it turns out no, he has to grow up.
Yeah. So I think that's a good point.
And then Majora's Mask is the sequel where he's grown up and he now has to take the emotional weight of learning about
Cameron,
death.
What would you say the emotional points or the emotional themes in Majora's Mask are?
There is nothing happy in Majora's Mask. I would say the overarching theme of every single song with the exception, of course, it's probably just sad. And
I wouldn't say sad. I would say wrong.
No, I would go for sad. Because
Majora's Mask's theme, you think that's sad?
That's why I said with some exceptions. But when you think about like here, I'm gonna list them here. When you think about like
Clocktown sad?
Clocktown Day 3 is sad. Dancers is sad. The Final Hour, Astral Observatory, Marshland, Jungle Cruise. I mean, all these songs. It's like slower melodies, a lot of minor chords. Everyone is sad because the world is ending. There's a few songs that are more twisted and wrong. But that kind of it's like a stem. It's like they all start with sad. Some of them go depressing. Some of them go wrong.
Yeah.
Some of them go.
And right, I think that you're right. You're right thinking that it's wrongness, but I think Cameron is also right because there are some very happy songs such as Clocktown, but they sound wrong in the game because everything's so sad.
To me, the main emotional crux isn't quite sadness, isn't quite wrongness. It's like it's a certain existential gloom.
Yeah,
I wrote the word
impending death.
I wrote the word
impending
eerie.
death. I was going to say that. Yeah,
eerie is good. It's like inevitable doom that is just putting this cloud over everything.
Right? It's like there's inevitable doom is the fancy way of saying death.
Pretty much.
Like it's about the world ending and everyone in it is going to die.
But the world ending that's just so rote. It's been in so many things. It's amazing how it tackles it in an actually impactful way.
And you would think
just the world's ending. Save it. You're going to save it. Okay.
I guess I didn't mean like the world. It's only one town.
That's true.
It's all the people in this town, and probably you are not going to exist tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then
you're right.
It uses the aspect of time travel. It's like so you can go and do these side missions, and you can make this marriage work, and you can make the postman have a job again, and you can do all this stuff. But who cares because they're gonna die anyways.
And you do that by literally playing the Ocarina of Time songs backwards.
Yeah, and right before they all die, it's like Link can't take it, so he plays the Ocarina of Time song and goes back in time and starts it all over again. It's so depressing. Oh my god.
I never really realized how that might be a metaphor for kind of like the ends justify the means of if you take your time to help people in their petty matters and don't focus on your overall quest, none of it's going to matter.
And it kind of doesn't matter anyways. Because it's impossible, it's literally impossible to do every single side quest and save everybody and make everyone happy and then beat Majora.
But you do end up saving the world in the game.
You do end up saving the world, but think about this. Let's say you beat all the bosses, you go back in time, blah, 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 blah. So you go back in time one last time, even after you have all the masks. You beat Majora, you save the world, but there's no way you did all the side missions, so that means that 20, 30 people... The girl never found her dead dad because you went back in time and reversed your mission. The people didn't get married because you went back. So you beat the game, sure, whatever, but nothing got resolved.
That's true.
And,
that's interesting.
And all of that is, and I can bring it back to the music. The music reflects that, what Steven said. You might get the bum ba da 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 ba ba da 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 da, but underneath you're like, I'm a failure. I saved the world, yeah, but everyone is suffering or miserable still.
I don't think things were quite that bad around.
Well, I think Cameron is speaking in slight hyperbole, but he is right. Everyone has a problem, and everyone is about to die. So you have to decide if you want to solve the problems.
What does Link? Does it ever say what Link does at the end of that game after he saves?
He wanders off back into the Lost Woods. That's all we know.
Okay. Because he could go solve their problems after he saves the world, but no.
That's not metaphorically sound.
Okay, gotcha. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I think that to break it down, nostalgia or the passage of time is Ocarina of Time's theme, kind of obviously, and death or impending doom is really what Majora's Mask is trying to get across.
And
they both do fantastic jobs of it.
Me and Zach had this conversation a while ago. We were discussing our favorite songs from the TV show My Little Pony. And the music is very, very good in that show because they have a really good writer. My favorite song was a song called This Day Aria, which is a very dark and depressing song, but very, very like evil and doomy, gloomy, and it's good. Zach hates that song because he likes things that are happy, so his favorite song is the Smile song. And we had a long discussion about this, and we came to the conclusion that I just like darker, drearier, deadlier, whatever songs, and he likes happy songs. So that's why Majora's Mask resonates with me so well, is because I like that dark, evil, underlying tone of the entire game. It's so great.
Like, you just have more of an appreciation for that style of storytelling and introspective thought than, as you see it, as a more generic style of just really pretty classic Ocarina songs and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
very much a classic hero's journey kind of tale in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I guess I appreciate different things that are, I don't know what to say, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Steven put it pretty well. And yeah, you like things that are different. You like things that are a little off and a little darker and a little more experimental. Mm. And Majora's Mask is absolutely all of those things.
Combined.
Yes.
And
so is Morrowind, by the way, so you need to get more
I'm not playing Morrowind. It's not happening.
All right. Well, I think that was really good, so I'm going to move on to question 8. What have you been working on? And in this, you can plug all of your projects or whatever.
Well, Cameron, Horror Cam Season 1 recently ended, so you're not working on that anymore.
Yeah, I decided Horror Cam needed, what I put out was fine, but I feel like Horror Cam needed some time to, simmer, as it were, and new ideas and concepts to arise from the idea. The concept, I think, is sound. It just needs some more fine-tuning. So, I decided to put Horror Cam on a hiatus with no current release date of it coming back for season 2, but it will come back eventually. So I'm currently very busy with 2 jobs now, so I'm not really doing anything besides Disembodied Voices right now, which is my other podcast with you guys.
But, well, you do have to admit that you've had multiple ideas for projects that we're seriously considering.
And I have no time to do any of them right now.
No, but an idea is an idea, and so it could appear any
Yeah, we are working on some other new shows with Cameron, but none of us have had the time to, put the effort into putting them up. Yeah. But we're working on it.
I mean, like, one of them is, unless something goes wrong, it's going to happen in the next couple of months, which is really exciting.
Probably both of them are. But.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And Steven and I, we have been, of course, working on Train Station. Mm-hmm. At 8, we've been working on Disembodied Voices, and I think we've kind of just been busy with those, getting iTunes feed stuff and all that working.
Yeah, we might have feed news in the near future, but
it's tough work. So, okay. Thanks for listening, everybody. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TrainStation8 or shoot us an email at trainstation8@gmail.com.
And an important note, we've had listeners complain that we are only being nice to iTunes users, which is super true. So, we'll continue improving in the future, but we have clearer links to direct downloads and RSS feeds and whatnot.
Yeah. So, you can find it at our website. We are part of, whalesorwhales.com. So just go there and you'll find Train Station 8 there. You'll also find other shows like this, such as, Disembodied Voices. And you can follow Whales or Whales on Twitter at Whales or Whales. I also wanted to just plug our personal Twitter since I didn't give Cameron a chance for that. You can follow Cameron at Del90WattAC.
And if you do, really give me a holler. I tend to think that anyone who follows me is a spam bot. So if you really care enough about my Twitter, just, hi, this is the person who followed you from Train Station 8, and I won't delete you.
Especially if your Twitter handle was something like SpamBot45.
That was an unfortunate one I had for a long time. Yeah. So you can follow me at SpamBot47, Steven at, you can follow me at Lord Meldor, and follow Steven at StephenKelly180, the only one among us who has a decent Twitter handle. I'm thinking of changing mine now that I actually, publicize it beyond Disembodied Voices. But whatever. That is it. Thank you all for coming. Cameron and Steven.
Absolutely a pleasure. I'm glad I finally got to talk about Majora's Mask and it didn't get deleted. However, it's not released yet as of the recording, so who knows what will happen.
That's true. Well, it was just kind of thematic. Halfway through, we played our Ocarina and went back to the beginning.
Yeah, that's a really good one. It was all on purpose, Cameron. It's for the art.
It was.
It was also a pleasure for me to come. Thank you for having us.
Yep. Absolutely. I don't know. Thanks again for coming, everyone, and say goodbye to the Monkey Porter.
Ook, ook.